Hello and welcome to OM Talks. I'm Richard. I'm the UK sales manager. UK sales manager? No, definitely not. I am the product engagement specialist in the UK. That means I do all of this stuff and I do all the events in the UK and that sort of thing. So today, what we have got going on. So we're going to catch up with Craig and the team in terms of what we've been doing in the UK in terms of event-wise recently. We'll then be doing a bit of an equipment showcase, so we'll look at a particular camera and kind of give our thoughts about it. And then we'll go through your summer activities through OM Talks as well. So we're excited to show off some of our images and have a chat about those and maybe see some of your guys as well. And then obviously we've got Rob actually on as well, so we'll give him a bit of a talk to, and we'll get a bit of a chat out of him in terms of what he's been doing and what he's been doing with us, and I'm sure we've got a few other bits to talk about there as well. And then we will be going into our debate in terms of one of the important questions that all photographers seem to ask at one point in turn. And yeah, we'll answer that with a few images and a bit of a discussion as well. So make sure you say hello in the comments. We'll try and say hello back. We can't say hello to everyone, but we'll do our best. And if you've got any questions for myself or for Craig or for Rob, then we'll try our best to answer those as well. So let's bring on the team today. Let's bring on Craig. Hello, Craig. How are we doing?
Good evening. Good, thank you. I didn't know you'd had a job promotion while I was off, but there you go.
Only after yours, my friend. I don't know what came over me.
No.
Whilst everyone's on holiday, I guess we can play, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And let's bring on Rob. Hello, Rob. How are we doing?
Hello. All good, thank you. Hope everyone else is out there.
Yes, yeah, I think we all are. So, what's everyone been up to? Anything special?
Go, Craig. You go first.
It's been.
You must have been up to something.
Yeah, I've been fairly busy since I was on last month, wasn't I? But it's been a few trips here and there. Been doing a few events. It's been more in-store stuff recently. So it's still warm in the UK, so I've been trying my best not to overheat. But yeah, generally, photography-wise, I haven't been out loads, except for when I've been traveling on the weekends, really. So it's yeah. But no, we've been busy. So.
Yeah, we've been incredibly busy in the UK with lots of different events, and obviously, Rob, you've been on the first hand of those, of some of them as well. So hopefully you have recovered somewhat from those now. So,
yeah, just woken up from Bird Fair. It was a long old session, that one. Yeah, I've been writing a little bit. I have been taking some photos. I've been using the 50-200 for a while as well, just to see what that does, which I really enjoyed. Especially for macro photography, which is my type of macro, one-to-one, butterflies, etc. So I've really enjoyed using that as well.
Good. And Big Z is loving everything about you right now, mate, I will say. If you see the comment on screen.
He's my famous guy in the world.
I'm not sure you can say that when there's loads of people online watching you.
Well, every time I say something, they'll be the next best person in the world.
But I think that's the way forward. All right, so let's bring on some slides so we know what we're talking about today. So, first thing is events then. So, Wales and West. It was a long time ago, or it feels like a long time ago. But you know what? It's actually only probably been, 2 months maybe now? Something like that?
Yeah,
a couple of months, I think,
yeah. I know I had a whale of a time. Obviously, I was doing bits of the macro station and running around here, there, and everywhere. How did you guys find it?
It's always a good show. So for me, it's you see some familiar faces, you meet some new people, but it's got a really nice community feel to it. So I always enjoy it. It was a completely different team this year as well. So it's often myself and Rob. So it's one of my annual trips to see Rob, but obviously yourself and Luke joined us this year as well. And I think as a team, it was a good event. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I always enjoy it. It's obviously it's local to me as well, so I know quite a few people attended. There's an awful lot going on in a very small area, which is always a nice buzz. And it's nice to chat to people when they come up to the stand.
Yeah, it's a really, really good event, and I always like how busy it is constantly. There's no real time to think. It's just kind of, let's just keep talking and lose our voices by the first day, and I love that environment. So what do you think brought the biggest attraction to OM on the few days that was there?
Well, the macro stand helped, so that drew people in who probably wouldn't have been considering coming to see us. So I think the macro stand was really good. We obviously also had Gav Hoey on the stand next to us doing some portrait stuff using his OM kit. And then obviously the most popular lens was probably the 50 to 200. So for a lot of people, it was the first time to actually get hands-on with that lens. So I think we had a good offering for everyone, basically. So whether they're into their portrait stuff, their wildlife, or their macro. So yeah, and obviously Rob draws in a crowd as well, obviously. So
naturally, yes. Why would he not?
At least one.
And then,
at least one.
And then we obviously had Tesney, and we had Courtney there as well. Stuart was doing some workshops, obviously independently, but so yeah, we had a lot going on at the show, which was great. It was really, really good. And in terms of, there's a nice little group shot. Look, we all get in. We do have a chance to get a group shot every now and then. So
yeah, we look happy then as well. So
that's before we started.
Before we started. Yeah, we are. Yeah.
So, what would you guys say was the best pieces of advice you gave at the show? Any idea? I know it was long ago.
Good question. Probably, as I say to anybody just starting out, is if you want to start, always start with program mode. You'll get the majority of your best shots still with program mode if you use composition properly. You don't need to be a technical whiz to take a good photograph. You just need to learn composition.
Very true. Very true. Yes. We've obviously done a more recent event as well, and that was Bird Fair. And obviously all three of us did a few days at Bird Fair. All I remember is the first day and being so hot that, I was drained for the rest of them. How about you guys?
Similar for me. It was a full on day. It was really busy as well. So it's not always the busiest day at Bird Fair. So often you find it spreads out a bit. But I think because of the weather was just looking like it was going to get worse, it was kind of everyone came in on that day, didn't they? So it was it was a busy one. But again, it's always a great buzz at Bird Fair. The customers you get there are always really friendly. So I think time flies when you're at Bird Fair. So yeah, no, it was good.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, it was the hottest day of the year for a start, which didn't help in a market tent. I've never drunk so much water in my life, and I still am drunk enough. It's interesting because Bird Fair is, obviously I've done quite a few events with you guys now, and Bird Fair is slightly different to a lot of the others, because I think Bird Fair people come obviously along for the natural side of things rather than just the photography, so it's quite different. It's a different feel to it. So the customers are often people wanting bird kits, just because they obviously go a lot of birding. So they're looking for a kit, nice and lightweight, that they can use very quickly to get their record shots. So it's a little bit different from the technical side of things, maybe Wales and Western TPS.
Yeah. And again, what do you think the key products that were standing out this year in comparison to last year?
I think the 5200 again, obviously the same as Wales and West. The macro stand was always a popular feature. But yeah, I think it's probably one of those places where, as I said, people really want their birding kits, because a lot of people are going to the other stands and the other marquees to go on bird trips or nature trips in some form. So they're looking for more specific kit than maybe they would in some of the other shows.
Yeah, and obviously we had quite a lot of nice kind of talks as well. And obviously, Rob, you were kind enough to do one with us as well. I think all those were kind of greatly received. Actually, obviously we had a fairly reasonable sized stand, but every talk seemed to fill it up, which I thought was absolutely great. So yeah, I thought it was a generally really good show for us. It was busy, and yeah, it was fairly exciting. Was there anything in terms of kind of if you did get to see any of the other stands and stuff, was there anything that kind of stood out to you that was any different, or anything you thought actually that's totally unheard of?
I did like the art installations. There's always a lot of art going around. Actually, it's the tent next to us. So I like walking around there just to see what people are getting up to. I think it's like a Glastonbury of birding, isn't it? Or nature. So there's so much going on everywhere, really. And it seems to be bigger again this year. So it seems to be growing again, bigger and bigger.
Yeah, this year I
Good.
didn't really get the chance to walk around much, but I always, as per Rob, I always spend a little bit of time in the art tent because I think it's fascinating what some people are doing in there. So, and their interpretation of the same subjects we're looking at through a camera, or in the case of David Tiplin, he is there with his photos, but obviously his more arty end of his photography. So it's it's really interesting. So, and again, interesting group of people. So,
Good. Well, talking about events, at least you guys kind of know that we've been here, there, and everywhere. Me and Craig have been doing other bits and pieces like store days and that sort of thing. We haven't really stopped this year, have we, Craig? And I don't think we plan to at this point. I think it's still steam ahead. Well, for me until Christmas now. So
yeah, well, apparently I am allowed a holiday in September, so I'm looking forward to that. But there is lots going on before that still. So.
Yes, and we're still planning lots of stuff as well. So make sure you keep an eye out on the events page, on the OM events page, because there's so much more coming. But let's give you a bit of an idea of what that looks like. So to give you an idea, WEX are still doing their kind of roadshow. So there's lots of store days still left to come. So Norwich, Cambridge, Nottingham, Milton Keynes. I'm then doing a few macro days. So tomorrow I'm in LC Worcester doing a macro workshop. So come feel free to come along and come and see us, and you can ask us all the macro questions you want. I've then got one in Gloucester as well, and we keep going. So we're then doing a few WEX Glasgow. We're then doing the LCE photo show that's coming up soon. And then one of the big things we've managed to do between me and Craig is actually work out some Jessop's Academy days as well. So if you're interested in your wildlife and you want to get kind of hands-on and you'll see either myself or Craig there with Pete Walker, who runs all of that for Jessop's, then by all means, get on board with those, because they would be some really, really good days. They are all over the country as well. So there's a few there to get started with. And then we go straight into kind of October and November and even a little bit of December. So skateboarding went so well, we are bringing it back. Craig, you were there. Did you enjoy skateboarding?
Well, I didn't actually skateboard myself, thankfully,
Shame.
but yeah, no, I did enjoy it. It was actually, hopefully this time I'll get a little bit of time to take some images myself, because a lot of it was us getting used to the venue, getting used to the style of the photography and everything like that. So I think this time will be good to go, and it'll be an even better day out. So, but yeah, no, it was good fun. The skaters that the team had sorted were fantastic, so I think that helped. So yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic venue as well. So
yeah, and speaking to the venue and the retailer involved, to give you an idea, we're going bigger and better this time. So I think we've got either at least another skater, or at least another 2 skaters. So we're going to be doing a lot more. And the price is actually cheaper this time. I think it's gone down to £50 instead of 100. So if you can make the date, definitely make sure you kind of turn up to that. If you're interested in shooting something really, really different, or learning how to shoot something that's really fast motion, or even you just want to come and play with an OM3 because you haven't had a chance to get hold of one yet, and actually want to experience that, take in mind we will have every single lens possible in the OM range there as well to play with. It's a bit of a nice experience day to have. So make sure you get involved in that if you can. We're then doing some festive walks. So we've got the Victorian Fair in Worcester as well. That should be really interesting, playing with kind of street and urban themes with light and that sort of thing. We're getting some really interesting shots from that. And another one that me and Craig did, just about a month ago now, was Bug Park. And that went incredibly well. I think we all had an amazing time that went to the event. And yeah, we are bringing it back. So one of the dates is the 1st of December. We're bringing a retailer into it as well this time. I believe we even might have Epson coming along as well, so you'll be able to print off your pictures at the same time, which would be amazing. Craig, how was Bug Park for you?
Yeah, it was a good fun day out. It's weird. It's about 45-minute drive from my house, and I never knew it existed. So it's it was a good day out. It's not what I was expecting. Like, it was so many subjects. It was full on, like lots going on. So, but no, it was good. Yeah, so it'll be interesting again to give it another go. So.
Yeah, and there was loads of different insects, right? We were talking dragonflies, damselflies, butterflies, and that was just the morning. Then, there was leafcutter ants, some scorpions, some praying mantises or something. Like, it was a full-on day. We never stopped looking at an insect, did we?
No.
So,
and the tarantulas, which some customers decided not to go and see, but
yeah. Some customers actually faced their fears that day as well. So yes, it was good. So yes, again, try and make sure you get on that as well. And then the last plug of events, we have a big walkthrough, which is with Glenn Elder, who no one will know who he is really, but it's a person I met a few months ago that specializes in taking pictures of slime mold. And to give you an idea, he'll take 0.5 millimeter mushrooms or whatever it might be and take 200 shots all focus stacked or bracketed, and then manually put it all together. And his work is utterly amazing. I was blown away. So we're going to do a talk with him on the 18th of August. So make sure you get involved in that as well. It'd be a really fascinating one. If you're into the tiniest macro you can possibly get involved in, then that's the one to go for. Okay. So let's talk about cameras. That's what we're here for in a little bit. And today we wanted to showcase the OM5. And the OM5 is a great camera. It's kind of more towards the beginning of our range now. And if you didn't know, it also comes in 3 colors in the UK and in Europe. I'm not sure about America. With the kind of the sand khaki color is one of our new branding colors that seems to be doing particularly well. But this camera is packed full of specs. So we've still got that 20.4 megapixel sensor. We've got the 5-axis image stabilization that will do up to the 7.5 EVs if you do it using a lens with IS as well. And then it's full of those computational modes, just like the OM1 Mark II and the OM3. So you've got the ND filters and the high res, and you've got your live comp and everything else as well. And the crazy thing is, it is tiny, small, and light. It's literally, it can fit in pretty much a small person's hand. So I've got a small hand, for example. And yeah, it's 418 grams, and that's with the battery and the memory card. So if you are after a small, lightweight camera, it's the way to go as well. Any of you guys got experience with this camera, guys?
Yeah, I've used it a fair bit. So it's, as you say, it's basically it's a pro camera in a really compact body. So sometimes if you just really want something small, you can just chuck in your bag when you need other stuff with you, like your lunch, your water, and everything. It's a nice option to take with you. So yeah, but I mean, it's not my go-to daily camera, but that's just purely because I'm in love with the OM3. But if I was looking to come into the system, it's a perfect camera to start with, really. So
yeah.
And it's
my first my first ever camera was the EM5. So this is very much up my street for when I started. And this is my route into the Olympus system, then obviously the OM system. So this is a great place to start. It's not right at the bottom, obviously, of the economic chain, but it's a really good starting camera because you can do pretty much everything with it. And if you really, really want to get into the specialist side of things, then you can obviously go up to an OM1 or OM3, but you're not going to miss out by having an OM5.
No. And for me, it then makes a second great body as well. So even if you start with an OM5, learn everything you need to learn about that, and then you move up to an OM3 or an OM1 Mark II, it still makes that second great body then. So, you can shoot some macro whilst you shoot some wildlife or whatever it might be. So
yeah, my wife uses this one a lot when we go away because she's not particularly into photography, but obviously she wants to use a camera, especially video as well. And it looks good for what she needs to do. It's light. She uses it with a 14-150, which is a great little lens. So pretty much you don't have to change lenses. It's almost like a point and shoot to some extent, but it's perfect for her. And she gets some really good results out of it, mostly on program mode. But again, you get good shots program mode as anything else.
Yeah, and that 14 to 150 is going to make a really good kind of zoom lens, right? It gives her a bit of everything. So yeah,
it's a super sharp lens as well, considering obviously so the budget side of things. And 14 to 150 gives you a really long scope to do most things, unless you're getting really specifically into bird photography or wildlife. It does cover most bases.
Yeah. And by the looks of it, John in particular has taken out his OM5 more than his OM1 this year.
I can imagine, because I think if you just want to go out for a walk or something, it's perfect to do that, and it's unobtrusive as well. If you're hanging around the street doing street photography or whatever you're doing, traveling or something, it's not as obvious maybe as some of the bigger cameras.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, I don't know where John is based either, but I've actually found, because of the heat recently, I've been less inclined to take a camera out with me. And actually, sometimes you do just want something really small. I actually was in London during the heat wave, and I was taking out a TG7 just because I wanted something really small in my pocket and not something that's going to make me warmer, basically. So yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And this is just a few sample images that we've had over the amount of time, but for what we would now class as a beginner camera or even a hiking camera now, it does take some amazing shots. There's no limitation there whatsoever. You can literally use it in every environment possible. And to give you a little bit more depth than that, if we move to the next slide, these again are all three shots taken by an OM5 in three very different sort of environments. So you've got the desert there, you've got mountainous snow, and you've got a forest scene there. And that's all down to the weather sealing and how light it is. If you do hiking a lot, you'll know that that every gram really, really matters, because those grams literally add up the weight and kind of makes you going up that hill a little bit harder each step you take. So to have a small lightweight camera that can produce images like that and have that level of weather sealing, I don't see what there's not to love about it. For most
of my travel kind of stuff and everything, it's the images you'll get out of it will stand up against what I do on the OM3. So it's there's not really any, like, for me, the main advantage of the OM3 is just having my color dial and my mono dial on the front, just because I do like my film simulations. But ultimately, the images you'll get out of this camera, they're still fantastic. So.
Yeah, I think for me as well. I mean, the OM1 is obviously very specialist to me in terms of bird photography or wildlife photography. And the main thing for me is those extra settings on the outside that just gets me to certain places without having to go into menus, but the actual images are basically the same. So if you can take a good image, you can take a good image on any camera, really. Still goes to the EM10 as well, for that matter. Still a really nice camera, even on the low end. But this one has an awful lot of functions in it for a relatively good cost.
Yeah, exactly that. So, everyone, if you haven't even looked at an OM5, haven't considered an OM5, whether it's for your first camera or whether it's a second body, make sure you get into your retail stores, preferably Craig's accounts at some point, and then get hands-on with them, have a little play, see what you think. It's a superb camera and something you should definitely be looking to play with. So just going to go to one of the comments from one of the events. The skateboarding is still $34.99. I know they were doing an early bird discount. I'm not sure when that finishes, but I know it's very, very soon. So if you are going to get on board, now's a good time to do it. Thank you for that, by the way, for that comment. Just to plug it a little bit more. Cameras over and out, done, dusted. Let's talk summer activities then. Basically, obviously, every month we give you, as an audience, a new challenge. This last month was summer activities. So what that could mean is anything you do over the summer that you can take a good picture of, it pretty much lands in summer activities. And I've got the other guys in to do it for this evening as well. So let's have a little look. Who shall we go to first? Rob, let's throw you straight in the deep end. What are your summer activities?
Okay, for me, really summer brings the damselflies and the dragonflies. They're like little birds to me, so that's the way I go for them. And of course, as you know, my macro lens is the 150-400. So this damselfly on the left hand side, obviously. I tried lots of different angles to get a shot, use all the conventional angles above, to the side, etc. But I just kept moving around over about 20 minutes because I think the damselflies had come into roost. So there's quite a few of them in some reeds around the lake. And it's this shot that grabbed me basically was just the fact that damselfly's peering down. I'm assuming he's peering at me, he probably isn't. And then there's a shadow underneath the leaf. I think there's a reed of some sort. And I just like the symmetry on the whole thing with just the line going up from left to right. You have the shadow as well, so it's like almost perfect symmetry. And then you have the nice greens as well, all created by the reeds around it, which I thought was quite nice. On the other side, one thing I wanted to say, by the way, I often use the 150-400 with focus stacking, not on this case, but I just want people to know that you can focus stack with any lens. It doesn't have to be a macro lens. And for something like the 150-400, you have no depth of field. So you really need to have a bit of help with that. Otherwise, you're like F48 and it's still not enough. So with focus stacking, you have a chance of getting some damselflies and dragonflies or butterflies or whatever. If you want. Often I think sometimes if you get the eye is enough actually to make it work. But sometimes you might want all of the creature or the body. So I just thought to quickly say that before I forgot. It's shot on the right. I just want to show people that this was actually taken in August, and people don't realize that if you get up stupid hours, like I have a tendency to do, this is at 4 o'clock in the morning, well, probably a little bit later. I got up at 4 o'clock to take this image. There is an awful lot of mist around, strangely enough, in the summer. We don't realize that because we don't normally get up at stupid hours to see it. But it creates some lovely imagery. You get some really big, obviously, orange glows coming up on the sunrise, and then you get that mist forming, and you get the two together, and it creates these really nice atmospheric images. And one thing with this shot as well, this is actually with the 7300. So again, coming back to equipment, you don't always have to have the most expensive equipment to get a good shot. This was a project to just use 7300 for a couple of weeks for something I did quite a while ago, actually, for Olympus OM. So you can see by getting up in the morning, you have the chance of these things. And I also want to get across to people sometimes while photography is about the hard yards. It's about getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and being daft enough to sit in the water waiting for a swan to come past. And often they don't come past. So you just go back to bed again. But it's not just about, the cameras and everything else and being very clever. It's just about sometimes the hard yards and those 10,000 hours that we've heard enough about that you just do it over and over again. And for me, this epitomizes that. I don't get up at 4 o'clock as much as I used to, but I just wanted to show that this is actually right in the middle of the summer. It's not in the winter time to get a shot like this.
Lovely. And your favorite person in the world has always got the best comments for you. So, early morning mist. Yeah, you have captured it amazingly well. And is there a tip behind that? How do you do it?
Basically you've got to keep. I always think I was going to come on to it later. I'll come on to it now. Basically, you've got to try and think of your environment as a stage, and you're waiting for your star to appear, which happens to be a bird or a fox or whatever it may be. In this instance, I'm waiting in a place that's working already before anything appears. I know, obviously, I'm in a lake and something's going to come past at some point, but I'm in a position where the light, the mist, and the background is working for me before the bird even appears. And that way, then, when something comes in, all I got to do is snap away. While a photography is often not about sort of moving around quickly from place to place, it's actually staying in one place that you think will work, and it's actually spending quite some time waiting for something to happen.
Nice. That's a nice answer. I like it.
Thanks.
I'm not sure what to say after that. You explained it so well. We're going to move on to Craig's images then. Craig, summer activities.
Yeah, so normally in summer, because we're so busy with events, most of my activities involve going for a walk in an evening when I get to a hotel or something similar. So the first one on the left, so this was actually my landscape of lens of choice. There was a 150 to 400. So I'd been out. This was actually the day before we were going to Skoma with Rob on whenever that was, back in July, wasn't it?
June,
Can't remember
I think.
everything. June, yeah, everything's rolled
Was it
into one,
June?
hasn't it? It's back in June,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and I'd actually seen. So we had lots of Swifts were coming down. I think it was Swifts. Was it there?
Yeah.
It probably was, no, and they were coming down over the field really low.
Yeah.
So I had the
Swallows
150,
and
400
Swifts, yeah.
Swallows and Swifts, yeah, ready to get the images. And then I wasn't really capturing the images I wanted, but then I don't know. It depends how you interpret this image, but to me, it almost looks like a rabbit is coming across in the horizon. So it's kind of, as they always say, clouds are what you want them to be. So I've shown it to other people. It almost looks like it could be a heart, which I like. Always like a heart in an image as well. So, but yeah, no. So that was just one of those moments that just came to me when I was looking for something else, which is kind of how photography often works out for me. So I'm not really a good one for making plans like Rob going out early in the morning. It's kind of when I have time to go out and take photos. So, but yeah, then moving on to the right-hand side in the top right. So this was on the 21st of July. I know that for definite because it was obviously the equinox. So myself and my wife were out down in Cornwall, and this was literally the 21st, and it was the most dramatic sunrise. And I quite like, if you zoom in onto this, then the guy, you can see the sunset in his phone screen. So I always quite like taking pictures of people taking pictures. It makes quite a nice image. And I mean, if you went down the beach, everyone had their phones out. So it was one of those moments. It was just a beautiful moment, really. So, and then my third summer activity, this isn't always a summer activity. It's a all round activity. So this is probably unintentional motion blur. So I have a habit of getting caught by the waves, basically. So I had my camera was set live ND, and I hear Vicky shouting, "Craig, wave," and I just pegged it. So basically there's a big wave coming. I was about to get soaked. So, but I do like, I've got a style of imagery which I always look at as could be my album cover, and this is one of those that fits in, could be album cover. So anything that could be an album cover is always a good image for me. So
lovely. And in terms of comments, it has to be said, the blue and the green, it does look like a Windows 98 wallpaper. Absolutely.
No, definitely. I had that feeling actually when I was taking it. It did feel like it was, and I think I did take one with us, so that with a bit more of a slant. So there is a section of the field where it did slant down. It did look a bit like it, in fairness, but no, it's definitely the cloud here that made it for me. So yeah,
it's a shame you didn't get paid
sense.
for it as well. Windows 98, that would have made you a fortune.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Yeah. And there's actually a comment for Rob as well. You were the one that convinced him to buy a 40 to 150 f2.8, and he loves it.
Yeah,
so
my fault. Yeah.
I think a lot of sales are your fault, Rob. Eventually, somehow. Okay, so let's go to mine then. So for me, summer normally for me includes two activities. Because I have a family and you have to entertain children in some shape or form, zoos are normally the first thing I go to. And I love looking at animals and taking pictures at zoos anyway. It's something I like doing. But that isn't, this particular monkey image isn't from that. So this is from a LC Longley event that happened about 3-4 weeks ago. We all managed to get in these tiny Jeeps, 6 people in basically a 4-person Jeep easy, all trying to shoot with 150-400s with no way of putting the windows out or anything like that, which obviously is a really easy environment to shoot in. But once we got to these lovely little monkeys, this one was not happy that we didn't have any food or anything like that, and gave us a lovely bit of a shocked, angry, like, "What's going on? Give me some food." And yeah, he then threw me this lovely little portrait shot, and I just love that the fact that it's got the glint in the eye just makes the shot for me. And yeah, it's one of the most recent lovely images I took. The other passion from me that I do then in the summer is a lot of landscape, and in particular a lot of sunsets. So for you guys that don't know, I live in Gloucestershire. I live literally 10 minutes away from the Cotswold Hills. So if you ever wonder where I am, if I ever get lost, I will probably be on the Cotswold Hills somewhere, sitting there, legs over the cliff with a tripod of some sort, hopefully, and just shooting away, waiting for the sun to literally explode as it kind of hits the horizon line. And this is literally looking over the Forest of Dean, so, and into Wales. So the mountains or the hills right in the far distance are actually Wales. So
I was waving, you didn't see me.
Yeah, I can see you in the background.
I was waving.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. I should have got the binoculars out at the same time. I was only shooting with the 5200. That's what it was,
right.
Not the 15400. Sorry.
Okay.
So yes, and that's kind of my activities. And to give you an idea, I've been waiting for that sort of sunset shot for probably about 10, maybe 11 years. And yeah, it was this summer that I managed to capture it. And I was also bitten to hell by sitting on the edge of the cliff for that shot. So I will take it as a win. So yes, there we go. Mr. Z loves to get involved, so I'll take the comment. Sunset needs to be printed huge and framed up. I totally agree. You never know. It might sit one day behind me. You never know. You never know.
Windows 11, that one.
I'll wait for the new version of Windows and submit it, shall I? Yeah. Let's move on to some customer images. We just want to give a big shout out to OM System Thailand and Hong Kong and all the kind of the Eastern teams, because they keep on using the hashtag OM Talks a lot to submit stuff. And this is one of the images that they submitted, and it totally reminded me that I need to tell you guys all to shoot on OM3 and get an OM3 and actually play with it and use it. It is a magical camera that allows you just to take pictures easily, and kind of for me, it taught me how to storytell quite a lot in terms of imagery instead of actually focusing too technically about it. So thank you to those guys for giving us a reminder. And then one image that I thought was absolutely great was from Marcus Grant. His Instagram tag is there for you guys if you want to follow him. Craig, you had, when I showed you this image a few minutes ago, you automatically thought you saw something a bit more abstract. What was that?
Yeah, well, you know, I've always got the abstract in my eyes, and to me, it almost looks like a camera on the right-hand side. So it looks like a proper old school. I'd assume he's probably using an OM3 with some kind of filter, but it looks like an old school black and white photo, which I like. But yeah, it really looks like where like they're not rubber ring, whatever they're called, the buoy or whatever it is on the boat trip. To me, it looks like an old camera. So yeah, that's my observation. But I think that, again, I think we've talked about it previously in a previous OM Talks, but it's kind of a good photo is when someone can take something out of that photo. And to me, it just looked like a camera. So it looks, it attracts me in that way. So.
It does. And the one thing that attracted me to this image in particular was the fact that it just looks like everyday life. And maybe that's what a summer activity should actually be. Go to the seaside, just have a normal day and not necessarily think about what's going on around you. Just enjoy the day, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So Rob, any thoughts before we move on?
No, I'm always a great fan of the black and white. So I think, especially in the middle of the day, it works really well. Color can sometimes be a bit too bright when the harsh light is around, but black and white is always worth playing around with in the middle of the day, when, you know, the best time for photography is basically first thing in the morning, last thing at night, but that leaves an awful gap when there's nothing else happening. So you've got to find different ways of elevating your image. Yeah.
Absolutely. So guys, let us know in the comments which one you liked, whether it was the damsel or the dragonfly or the swan, or whether it was any of Craig's with the equinox and the windows. And it looks like Rob might be begging for the votes at this point. You never know. But he is the best photographer out of the three of us. So. So just let us know. It'd be interesting to find out what you guys think the best image is, and we'll have a look at the end in the comments.
I like the damselfly, Rob. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah,
it was the shadow. Before you said it, it was the shadow. So again, that's what. Yeah. Before I even saw the damselfly, I saw the shadow. So it's what you see in a picture, isn't it? And that's I like it.
Yeah, it's your art side again, isn't it?
Yeah, you know that. I'm all about the art.
You're all art.
See, I didn't actually see the shadow at first. I just thought it was a great shot of a damselfly, and it's not until you actually mentioned the shadow I went, that's a great composition, just because that's added in, and that actually now completes the image perfectly. So it's a very good shot. I like it. All right, so the next challenge, as we move into kind of August, or kind of coming into kind of macro time of late August and September, when we'll be doing the next OM Talks, you guys get to submit your own images into this. So all you need to do is, when you're submitting your images onto Instagram, just hashtag OM Talks into the comments, and you'll be automatically submitted into it. So when we then do another one of these, you never know, we might show some of your images, and it'd be great to see some more. We'd be really, really interested to see some macro stuff. Don't forget, we're moving into kind of currently we've got kind of insect season for macro, and then we'll be moving into mushrooms. So there's lots of opportunity to kind of push some images into our way.
I'm expecting Biggie Z to submit a hashtag OM Talks.
Yeah, Biggie Z, I think you've got at least 10 images. For the amount of comments we've had from him, I think we need at least 10. So 10 different macro shots. They can't all be of the same thing. And I think that's the way forward.
You can 4150 with focus stacking, so don't worry about it if you haven't got a macro lens.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You'll be all right. You'll be fine. You know, I could always give him the challenge Claire gave me when I first started OM Talks, and that was to focus stack a bee mid-flight. So all I'm going to say is that I did that the other day, but I haven't edited the shot yet. So next time.
Well done.
I completed one challenge in my life. It's great. All right. So let me give you these slides a minute. So Rob, time to interview you. I'm going to ask some serious questions now, and you never know, Craig might come up with some really nice ones as well. So yeah, let's interrogate you for a little bit, shall we?
Craig knows too many secrets. That's my worry.
So let's start with a little bit kind of getting to know you then. How did you start in photography?
It's funny enough, I didn't really get into photography into the digital era. I've always had a camera from a very young age, but it was mostly just to, document life, really. Point and shoots, never anything more than that. My passion was always playing in bands, still is for that matter. So I often use the camera just to, obviously diarise what I was doing on the road or in recording studios and things. It only became a thing really when I started lucky enough to get to travel. And when I came back with the photographs, I realised how rubbish they were. And I thought, I've really got to try and find a way of making them better than they are, because they never conveyed anything like what I had at the time. So as usual for me, to improve, I obsessed over things. And I devoured books, magazines, videos, etc. YouTube wasn't a thing then. I know I'm only 21, but YouTube wasn't a thing then. And then I just obsessed over it and took shot after shot after shot and made lots and lots of mistakes, which is the secret to finding out what actually works and what doesn't. And my improvement came over a long period of time. So I wasn't a natural photographer, even though I can do art okay, but I wasn't a natural photographer. But maybe the art side allowed me to finally understand composition properly.
Nice. And then kind of how did that get you into the world you're in now?
Well, again, passion really is wildlife, along with music. Wildlife's always been my passion. I was lucky that my mother instilled a nice love of wildlife, even from a very young age. I had really old cloth-eaten bird books handed down from my brother. Obviously, my mother gave me to him. And even though I lived in the middle of Cardiff, with a postage stamp of a backyard, it really was. I was still checking on the bird books, and usually the only one I ever saw was a sparrow. But that was how it started. And my parents also had a caravan in West Wales, and the the caravan site was really secluded. It was really off the beaten track. So I was allowed to go sort of Swallows and Amazon style and just find my way out there, roam around, probably in a way you wouldn't do that anymore. And really, that's how I grew up with wildlife. So that's why when music sort of took a little bit of a backseat, I started then sort of taking over the obsession with photography instead. And of course, I married the two together. So our holidays where we went away, obviously just traditional holidays to various places, started getting more and more about the animals and wildlife until now. That's pretty much it. We go away to see wildlife.
Nice. And was there kind of like a single image or experience that made you realize that's kind of what you wanted to do as a full-time career?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I started with a proper camera about 2008, 2009. I say proper camera, you know what I mean, sort of DSLR.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't until around about 2000, I think it's 2014 or 15, I took an image of a deer, and it was backlit, so in silhouette basically, with the moon. And I realized, oh, that's interesting. That's a better way of doing things than just grabbing shots and taking record shots. Nothing wrong in that, by the way. But it's just for me, I wanted the artier side of things. That's really what drove me then to find different ways of taking probably conventional subjects in a slightly different way. So it was a shot of a deer with the moon behind it, and it looked like a rhea stag. You know, you can imagine the antlers sticking out through the sky, and there's a big moon in the background as well. So it just created something different, and that really got me thinking about the artier side photography, and something I realized that most of my record shots were very, very average, even though I thought they were great at the time. They were pretty rubbish, to be perfectly honest. So it's only then I started to get an idea really where I wanted to go.
Nice. Okay, that's really interesting, actually, and that kind of relates to some of the questions I'm going to come back to in a minute. So let's very quickly talk about kind of SCOMA then. So Craig, you got to go to SCOMA this year. Rob, you got to go to SCOMA this year. My invite was obviously left in the post somewhere along the lines. So, but it's fine. There's no harshness here. So let's talk about SCOMA. Guys, how was SCOMA?
Windy.
Yeah, yes, you can see. Yeah, started out windy and a bit mizzly. Luckily, the mizzle went away. Welsh mizzle, we call it. So that went away, thankfully. But it was just wind. It's probably the windiest I've ever been in SCOMA. But that, coming on to it a bit later, that really helps with bird photography or capturing birds in flight.
Nice.
Yeah, it was my first trip over to SCOMA, and Rob's been banging on about it for the last 5 years. I've known him how good it is, and it's like, in my head, I'm like, I'm sure it is good, but it can't possibly. And then you as soon as you get off that boat, you're like, okay, yeah, this place is something else. It's magical. So next year you'll have to come along with us, Rich.
Yeah. We'll get it planned in the diary, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So Rob, how often do you go to SCOMA? Is it just a one yearly thing event, or?
No, it's not as easy this time because they started to do things on online bookings. It's a lot more complicated to get dates that you really want. So you've got to book quite a long in advance. Quite a few times I've booked and the boat hasn't gone, obviously because of the strong winds. But I used to go 3-4 times a year. At one point I did go every month to just see what the seasons, how they changed, going from literally when it looked like it's been burnt out, just all brown, right until the end in September when the seals are pupping. So you have a complete different gamut of wildlife from one side to the other, and the vegetation changes constantly as well. So it was really nice to see the whole lot.
Nice. And what would you say you are the most excited to see whilst you're there?
Oh, it's got to be the puffins. I mean, they are extraordinary creatures. It really is. But having said that, there's so many birds there that you often get a lot closer to than you can on the mainland because they're sort of habituated to people. So things like oyster catchers and curlews, the gulls, etc. They all can be quite close to you, which is quite unusual because normally if you're doing coastal work, as any guys out there know, if you're doing coastal work and you stand up, they're gone. I mean, the birds just disappear very, very quickly. You're usually spending 2 hours slug-like trying to get close to a bird, and then you got a cough and they're off. But this way you have a chance. Maybe you're getting some shots you wouldn't normally get. So yeah, so there's lots of all the auks are there, the razorbills and the guillemots, and there's kittiwakes and fulmars and many other birds.
Cool, that's perfect. Just as a side note, Claire is still around. She is still there. She obviously came to SCOMA with you guys as well. So anyone that's currently missing her, that hasn't seen her on any of the lives or at any events recently, she is still around. Don't worry. She's doing a lot of social media stuff. So, and I'm sure I'll get her on an OM Talks at some point. So don't worry about that. Anyway, let's see some puffins then. Here we go. Now, I made the mistake earlier, guys. I will openly admit and asked Rob to describe these images for me. Complete mistake, because these are Craig's images from when he went earlier this year. So, Craig.
Yeah. I'll take that as a compliment if you mistook them for Rob. So.
Well, you haven't seen Rob's yet, but yeah.
No, exactly.
We'll take it. So, tell us a kind of bit about kind of how the day went for you. And about these images, how easy were these to capture?
It's surprising how. So I had a lot of images. So as soon as you get there, you start seeing puffins, and you want to start taking pictures straight away. These were probably two of my later images in the day. Once I'd actually kind of listened and taken some information in. So I got a couple of puffins in flight eventually, thanks to Rob's tuition, which I didn't put forwards because against Rob's they don't look as good basically. But for me, I've got some in focus puffins in flight, which I didn't think I'd ever get. But the backgrounds and everything, they were probably too small in the frame. So these two images have had minimal cropping just to get the horizon right, basically. So the reason I chose these two images, they're quite similar, but they're two different lenses. So one's on the 150-400 and one's on the 75mm 1.8. So as you all know, Rich, I've basically always got an OM3 with me. So obviously I had an OM1 Mark II with a 150-400 on it, and I had the 50-200 with me as well. As always, I took too much gear. So what I really needed was probably the 50-200 with a 2x converter. And then I would have still had my OM3 and the 75mm. But so the one on the left, surprisingly, is the 75mm. So that's how close they are. It is. It blew my mind how close they come to you, and also they're so much smaller than I thought they were as well. So yeah, I mean, they're just beautiful creatures, aren't they? And then obviously on the right is then with the 150-400. So I think I quite like the way you get that same background separation and foreground separation with both lenses. So they both have a very similar character, and yeah, obviously both fantastic lenses. So
yes, yeah. I'm a massive fan of the 75mm. So yeah, I would have walked around with that all day. So
yeah.
Yeah. Rob, thought of these particular two images?
Yeah, well, I mean, Craig hasn't been there before, so the first time can be quite overwhelming. There's so many, a lot of people think, when I'm going over on the boat, people ask me, am I going to see a puffin? I said, yes, you're definitely going to see a puffin. So when you get there, it can be quite overwhelming. I mean, when we were there, because of the mizzle and the wind, actually, a lot of the birds are on land, because often they don't fly off during the rain for some reason. I'm not quite sure what that is. So you'll have most of them on land. So this year there was 52,000, I think, there is puffins. So that's a lot of puffins, and they are literally everywhere. So you can get quite overwhelmed. So Craig's done a great job there, separating the background and picking out birds rather than getting involved in sort of messy backgrounds.
Yeah. I particularly like the one on the left that you've made a conscious choice where it's the bird itself is obviously focusing to the right, where most people would kind of restructure that image so it's looking into the image. You've made it look out of the image. I find that.
Well, that's my magazine cover shot, I'd say. So I've left perfect space for the title. So if anyone out there in the publishers list is watching, then you know where I am.
Brilliant.
I don't like to follow rules too much. So it's like, I think you're right. Most people would want the bird looking left
into the image,
exactly into the image. But yeah, I mean, the opportunity wasn't there. This was the photo. If you look to the right, I mean, you can start seeing it's looking quite it's quite earthy there. So actually the green was to the left of it. It was really close, obviously, with the 75mm. So it was kind of that was the shot that was there. And yeah, I mean, the same with the one on the right, really. Again, people would probably want it off on a third, but I quite like having a central subject as well. So it's just the way it falls. So
Yeah. The one on the right is quite impactful actually, because like the white just stands out straight away from all that green. So yeah, it makes sense. Rob, let's talk a little bit about your kind of conservation and kind of your love for animals then. Do you think wildlife photographers have a responsibility to help conservation?
Well, it's always down to the individual. I mean, personally, I think yes. As you know, I'm vegan. I haven't said that before, because I really think that nature needs as much help as it possibly can get. I'm not saying everybody should go vegan any minute, but I'm just saying I think we really need to help nature as best as we can. 75% of the world's wildlife has been lost in the last 30, 40 years. So if it keeps on going like that, there ain't going to be much left. Something like Skoma, funny enough, is a great success story because the puffins are just growing and growing and growing there. It's going, when I went first to Skoma back in 2015 for photography purposes, there was 22,000, 23,000. So now to get to 52,000 shows if we just leave them alone, they will come back. And it's a marine conservation area around Skoma as well. It's the only one in Wales. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. They're being left alone. It doesn't help having Milford Haven oil refinery on his doorstep. But at the moment, that doesn't seem to have cast any shadows over anything. Used to in the old days. There's lots of oil spills, but they haven't happened for a long time. But I think conservation in general, I mean, the whole point is that we're, especially me, I'm a wildlife photographer. If there's no wildlife left, there's no photography for me. I'm not going to start doing weddings anytime soon. So, and also, I mean, I just have a huge passion for wildlife. It's something I think that people realize during COVID times, that wildlife can really help calm you. It can soothe you. It can heal you to some extent. And a lot of people who, during COVID times, all of a sudden became bird photographers. They already said, wow, I forgot how nice birds were just to watch. Or people just remembered all of a sudden from their past that bird photography or bird watching was a really nice thing to do. So I think, wildlife does an awful lot for us. So I think we should need to do a lot for wildlife.
That makes sense. And what can we do as photographers to minimize our impact on wildlife? You got any advice for that?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm taking photographs, say, of coastal birds, if I disturb the bird, that's the last time I'll bother. If I disturb it by accident because I've got it too quickly or something, I won't bother doing it again. That was my fault, not the bird's fault. So I won't go back again. I try to tread as light as I possibly can. I don't bother any birds. I don't use callers. I don't use any apps or anything for it. Everything is natural because I think it can be. I don't think you really need to use anything to get a good shot. Actually, what you need to use is patience and an understanding of your subject or understanding your location. So, we just don't need to impact on a wildlife's world any more than we already do.
Nice. No, that's a really lovely answer. I like that. That's a good one. Right, let's actually see some of Rob's images. I think Craig's images have had enough plug time now. You never know. You might even you might get that that published deal. You never know. So let's see these now. Some of my favorites from the ones you sent me. So tell us a little bit more about these images, if you can.
Yeah, well, coming back to the shots we showed earlier about the harsh sunlight, when you go to Skoma, unless you stay over, you're not going to get obviously the nice light of the first thing and last thing at night. So you have to try and find ways of taking shots, as I said, to elevate your image above the record shot. What I tend to do is take a few record shots and think, okay, I got some in the bag, right, I'm fine now. I can start mucking around with the camera, which is the best way of doing it. So the best way I think often is to find ways, as I said, of elevating the image is using things like high key, low key, silhouettes, things like that. So the shot on the right of the puffin, if you didn't know it was a puffin, by the way, or it's actually a lot easier to take than you think. It's actually just about finding the right location and getting a little bit of side light, so standing in the right position, and then just purely exposing purely for the whites of the feathers of the puffin. That will automatically underexpose the background if you've got a reasonably dark background already, and that's how you get that stark image. It creates quite an arty image and quite a graphic image as well. And the same on the left-hand side. Basically, that's using the same technique, but for bullets. But again, what I tend to do is just find the right spot to stand in and then I wait for birds to fly into that area. Now, it's 50 odd thousand puffins, one will fly in that area. You'll find actually multiple times something will fly in that area or thereabouts. So I'm using the same technique. I'm finding a background, I'm finding the light in the right area, and then I'm waiting for something to happen.
Nice. And I guess that leads to my next question in terms of, do you plan your images, or do you kind of just let nature surprise you and see what comes up?
Yeah, both really. But I mean, I think you have to plan your image to some extent. So as I said, we're at the puffin on the left-hand side. Yeah, it's the puffin, by the way. Puffin on the left-hand side. I had planned the fact that that background is in the right place. And the beautiful thing about that is it's hard enough capturing a bird in flight as it is. But if you have everything else in your favor, all you have to do is then capture the puffin. You haven't got to worry about light. You haven't got to worry about direction. You haven't got to worry about the background. So it gives you a chance at both, really. You've obviously got the surprise element of what you're going to capture in that area. I always like to think of these things as I said, catching the stage. You wait for that star to come on. So you find your stage, the star still has to come on and do its thing, but you're not quite sure what that's going to be. So it's an element of both, really.
Yeah. And in just moving into, because that kind of relates to this question, is your photography then, would you say, more creative, or would you say it's more documentative?
Yes, I would say most of the time it's creative. I'm trying to find just something, as I said, to elevate the image above the record shot. You're always trying to tax yourself in some way to find new ways of doing things. And even more so now, I mean, the fact is the cameras are getting so good, people can get great bird in flight shots. So it's always a case of trying to find not only a bird in flight shot, but a bird in flight shot that has something else. So it's always an ongoing battle, really, to find new ways of producing something.
Nice. Okay, so let's have a look at some more images you submitted to us. Here we go. And what I like about this kind of set of images is that you've focused on detail, and you focused on, in particular, by the looks of it, eyes. Is there a reason why you look for that in particular?
Yeah, I think with a wildlife shot, the eye, if the eye is in focus and working, the shot usually works within reason, obviously. And with the shot in the middle, the eye is really important to create the diagonal going from the top right-hand side, that sort of like line coming down to the eye. And the eye is actually sort of aiming towards the bottom left-hand side. Obviously, the wing there as well is creating it as well. So you've got a natural diagonal, which gives you a nice sort of comfortable feel to the shot, sort of a bit of symmetry. The one on the right-hand side, I've massively done the opposite of obviously the shot before, and I've made sure that I've massively overexposed the background, and I've actually overexposed slightly the herring gull as well. And so obviously for that to work, you need to make sure that the strongest elements come through, which in a herring gull is they've got great eyes, and the beak, of course. So that creates that sort of, again, quite a graphic image, a complete reverse of the shot before. The one on the left-hand side is more about storytelling. We all know that's a puffin, but it's a case of really the story is about the sad sand eels and their intimate, doom, impending doom, rather than the puffin itself. So again, it's just creating narratives and storylines and ways of taking a shot that maybe you wouldn't think of.
Yeah. I love the image in the middle. Like normally a puffin shot you're always going to get the beak, aren't you? It's the most important part of the puffin, and I like the way it's almost hiding its beak. It's like you're not getting a picture of me. So yeah, it's nice. It's got a lot of emotion.
And the eye you can see has got it's got obviously the puffin, the details in that, and it's a beautiful eye as well. It's got a strange sort of triangle on the eye, which is nice to highlight.
Mm. Yeah, and just from a technical aspect, then, do you believe that the OM kit is kind of giving you that advantage to be able to take a shot like this?
I think massively. I mean, in my opinion, the OM kit is the most creative kit. Every brand takes a good photo, but I think it's all about the tools you're given to find different ways of taking a shot. So for me to stay ahead of the pack, I'm not staying ahead of the pack, but I try to find new ways of taking something. And the only way to do that is obviously use the tools that are in the OM1 cameras, all the OM system, but OM1 is my camera. I use a lot of the features in that to create these sort of elements, and also even just the bonker stabilizer. that immediately gives you an advantage because I'm not using a tripod. I don't use a tripod with any lens, not the 154, none of the lenses. So again, I mean, that's a huge advantage because you can move, you've got freedom. Even if it's just a couple of inches, you haven't got to move a tripod around or wait for a tripod to move to the next, to the next stage. You can just fire away, and you can work on an idea and hone it without getting bogged down with equipment, as in tripods. And the fact it's light and it's ergonomically correct for me as well. It all works on the hand grip for me. So when you add everything together, I think it's easily the most creative camera there is.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to spin this up now. I'm going to ask you a nice little philosophy question. Just to change the tone. Can a photograph ever truly capture the feeling of being in nature?
Good question.
Yeah.
I always like with the swan shot earlier. I'm always trying to capture what I felt at the time. Obviously it's a 2D medium. Obviously when you're standing in front of something, it's a 3D medium. You also have the sights and the smells and the sounds as well. But I think for me, I try to capture at least the atmosphere if I possibly can. And it's why it's really important to use depth of field properly to create a 3D effect in a 2D medium.
Yeah. Maybe that's kind of what we now need. We need a camera that obviously it can capture sound, right? But now we need it to capture smell, and we'd be all right. We'd have a 3D element.
Sniff every time you sort of scratch
it. Let's just bring a couple of comments in. Wayne, obviously, I know Wayne from doing a big walkthrough with him. Thank you for joining us again. But yes, really enjoying the 5200. I have no comment to say on that, on the basis that keep on shooting with the 5200. It's one of the best lenses we have.
If I went to Skoma again, I've actually used the 5200 with the 2x converter. That's close enough. That's all you need.
Yeah. In terms of, this is a big question then, over the 100-400 Mark II?
Yes, because it's faster and it's brighter, as in f2.8. So I think it gives you that opportunity to just pick the speed up if you need to, but also it's super lightweight, obviously. So I think for me, if I was going to Skoma, because the birds are actually that close, and even birds in flight are close enough, I think that combination works really well. And also you can take it off, obviously, so you can use the f2.8 to take portraits if they're close enough, or you can pop a 1.4 or the 2x converter on to take some birds in flight or the birds in a distance. And you're still getting a good speed of f5.6 even with the 2x converter on it.
Nice. Yeah. Let's see a few more images then.
Cool.
Here we go. So something not a puffin.
Yeah. Again, basically, I want people to realize that when you go to Skoma, it is amazing to see the puffins. And I'll be perfectly honest, the first, all the first occasions I went, it was very puffin centric, and it was like an Olympic sport, and you're trying to hold the camera up for 5 hours taking pictures of puffins constantly going past you. But there is so much more there in terms of, as I said, some of the common critters are like the jackdaw on the left-hand side. You wouldn't normally see a jackdaw at eye level, coming at you. The jackdaw is completely different there to when you're taking a shot in the sky. It's a chuff on the right-hand side. Again, I'm doing the opposite to the stark black background. And it's almost like a black and white with color because the beak is actually red. So I basically massively overexposed the background to get the silhouette. And I've made sure that the red beak is showing to make sure that you actually see it's a chuff rather than a rook or a crow maybe. And I think people, one thing I always emphasize in my talks is please don't forget about the common creatures. The common creatures are so important to your photography, to your training, to your practice. And often the common critters are actually the ones you get the best photos because you have a chance to hone your ideas, to go back over time and time again, and they'll often be closer to you. So even though we all think we're going to take that World Photography of the Year shot of a lion, it's usually actually the other way around. It's taking something and really working on that idea.
Nice. Okay, shall we do a bit of a quick fire round of questions then for you? No? Tough, we're doing it. So, favorite bird?
Oh no, you got me now.
Quick fire. Come on, Rob.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's quick
come
fire.
on.
Yeah, it's quick fire. Okay, puffin.
Puffin. Apart from a puffin.
Chicken. No, it's not chicken. No, I would say any raptor. I love the raptors. Yeah.
Fine. Favorite UK birding location? And yes, you can say Skomer.
Yeah, well, Skomer is an amazing place, but most of my photography came from lakes called Cosmoston Lakes, not far from Cardiff. It's actually one of the best places to capture pictures of great crested grebes. So that's one of the things my formative years were trying to capture great crested grebes. So that's one of my really favorite places to go to. Obviously, Skomer is amazing as well.
Yep. So, hide or no hide?
Good question. Most hides are rubbish. When I'm talking about hides, I'm talking about RSPB hides or things like that. They're more for birders than they are for anything. Really, you want to be as low as you possibly can to your creature, or with the best view you can. So usually hides are not in the best place. If it's a hide as in your hide and you put it somewhere, yeah, that's a good idea. I like to try and do it, sans hide. I'm trying to normally sort of just make my way towards a bird as slow as I can. It usually works fine. And as I said, often in those lakes, I was actually in the water and the birds will come up to me because they actually don't know what you are, because they don't really see you as a human being because you're in the water with them. It's only when you stand up, a lot of animals actually see that you're a human being.
Makes sense. So, birds in flight or portraits? What do you prefer doing?
Let's see, that's a tough one, isn't it? Probably portraits like the swan, because I think that creates an atmosphere. Birds in flight is quite difficult to create a real atmosphere of the time. You're battling with the fact it's going quick, and the technical side of things. That shot there that you can see on the left hand side of the jacket, I suppose that creates an atmosphere of some sort. But you're not going to get that sort of the misty elements and things like that I like to take.
No. Okay. Dream bird to photograph.
Saddle-billed stork in the Kruger was one of my favorites. I got very, very close to one. They're amazing colors, absolutely amazing colors. They look like a very colorful egret or heron. Amazing looking birds. Quite tall as well, probably about 3-4 foot tall.
Interesting. And can you give us one photography tip everyone should know?
Get on the floor. If get as low as you possibly can to your subject. Wildlife photography works better when you're one-to-one with your subject. I always like to make friends with the worms. Normally, if you're taking birds like coastal birds or birds on the floor, you really need to get as low as, I'm not saying necessarily get on the floor, but get as low as you possibly can, because it creates that character and the connection. And it also, there's a couple other reasons for getting on the floor. You actually have your bird or your subject against the background. It's not just pointing towards the floor, which is going to be in full detail and it's going to get in the way of your bird. But also you can then use the foreground to lead you towards your subject. And it gives you that sense, as I said, it's a 2D medium and we want it to try and look like a 3D medium. And we need the depth of field to do that. And by getting on the floor, you have the depth of field working for you as the subject popping out, basically.
Nice. Quick question from the comments. One lens for the rest of your life. What would you choose?
150-400 would have to be, yeah, because it's pretty versatile as well. Because we can get so close to subjects, it's practically a macro lens for me. Well, it is for me, because we can pretty much almost get one-to-one. And as you know, I don't really do macro, so for me, I just want to get as close as I can and muck around with all different types of captures, really.
Nice. Shall we go on to your final puffin image, which I think is absolutely mind-blowing? Let's do that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The secret of puffin photography is basically to know where the puffin's going to land. Now, that sounds a bit daft because you think, oh, the hell do I know where the puffin's going to land? But puffins will go on a certain arc, and often they'll actually abandon their first flight path in. So the secret is, when they abandon that flight path, is to watch them go back out to sea and just keep watching them until they come back. And you also see the wings that are out there, and that's because the wind's coming up over my shoulder. So it's pulling out the ABS wings there to stall and to slow down. And that's your chance to grab a shot, because it's just about to stall. So it's really important to watch the subject and to be in the right place at the right time as well. And that's just from observation. It's not necessarily, and yes, now we got the great bird detect on the camera. It really is very, very good. To the extent why I use an all points focus array now. I used to use the smallest amount of points. Now I use the all points focus array, so you've got a good chance of catching up with them. This was actually taken before bird detect, actually. But yeah, so now it's easier to get a bird in flight. So now, as we said, we got to try and elevate that shot. Those little highlights in the background, the bokeh, is actually more puffins on the water. That creates that lovely darkness of the diamond shining effect.
Nice. Okay. I thought that was sort of kind of water ripples or something reflecting.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Those bokeh off the water with the guillemots and the puffins in the water.
Interesting.
I was standing in that place to get that. That's the whole point. I actually saw that in the background when I was taking the shot, or taking other shots, and made sure that I stood in the right place, waiting for a bird to come towards me with that in the background.
Yeah, it's truly beautiful shot. I don't think I've ever seen a shot like that of a puffin with that sort of composition or with that in the background. I think it is a full stunning picture. Let us know in the comments what you think of this particular image. I'd like to see what other people's thoughts are. Whilst we've got you for this little bit of interview that's left, let's ask some kind of more audience questions, I call them. What advice would you give to someone buying their first wildlife camera?
Buy as much as the best cost you can, but you'd be fine on an EM10 to just start out, because as I said, program mode is a really great way of starting. Don't go on automatic. Turn automatic off immediately, because the camera is in control. So if you can get into program mode, the two most important elements are exposure and moving your focus point around that you can actually compose properly. So by doing that, every camera is actually usable in any way to start you off. But I usually say, afford as much as you can, and then you can build up to something a bit later, because you don't always know what you want to take at the beginning. You just like to get into photography, maybe. So you don't quite know. But if you get into wildlife, then you can start going into specific lenses and specific cameras that will help you. You can still get great wildlife shots with all the cameras. It doesn't actually make any difference. But it's just that some cameras are more tailored to elements that you may need later on in your photography career.
Nice. So we've got some comments coming in. One from Wayne. Lovely image. Yep, he's not wrong.
Thanks, Wayne.
And then Biggie Z's obviously come in with a comment. Nearly impossible to catch. What do you think, Rob?
Almost impossible. Almost impossible. Yeah, it is.
And then Tim, been skirming this year too. Capturing puffins in flight is tricky. Fantastic shot.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say as well for anybody starting out, or even if you haven't started, if you're still on the way, I practiced on the coast. I used to live on Barry Island. I know a lot of people wouldn't even know where that is, but it's a coastal area, and I practiced on the gulls. That's all I did every day. I practiced and practiced and practiced. Panning, because panning is so important. Because even though we have amazing bird detect, if you can't catch up with the bird detect's no good. So you need to practice your panning, and just practice on some of the easier things like gulls. They're not too quick, but they're not slow enough that you're not going to sort of work your way up to it. So that's the way I practice, was over and over again at gulls or similar. And I obsessed over it, and I did it as many days as I possibly could. So you get shots like this, to be perfectly honest, by knowing your location and practicing. That's really what it comes down to. It's not an innate skill I had. As I said, I wasn't a natural photographer. It's actually just those 100,000 hours or whatever it is they say it is.
Yeah. And you literally just answered my next two questions all in that one sentence. So that's great.
That's why I'm here.
So let's just move on to Kruger then. Now you've submitted a video. Now the sound might work, the sound might not work, it might not even play. We never know with these sort of things. So let's give it a try and see what happens. It's thinking about it. Hey, there we go. So definitely no sound. So talk to us about kind of Kruger then. So I've sat down in the evening with you a lot over the last few events, and you speak about this place very, very highly. You speak about it a lot. So can you kind of give us a bit more of an idea of what this place is and what it means to you?
Yeah, it started off really as out of necessity because it was one of the cheaper places to go on safari. And the reason that is DIY. So we're self-driving, self-catering. You don't have to. There's other opportunities as well. But basically, if you go to the national park side of the Kruger, which is the sand parks, is where South African sand parks own it. You can actually go DIY. So it's basically the cheapest way you can go on safari. And for me, as you know, loving wildlife, I want to be immersed as much as I possibly can, sights, smells, and sounds. So for me, I want to spend as long as I can in some place like that. So out of necessity, it was the cheapest way of doing that. Something like the Masai Mara, I could probably go for 4 or 5 days if I could afford it. Whereas, you're talking about 3 weeks maybe in the Kruger. So that's the difference. There's no difference. The animals are very much the same. It looks different. The Masai Mara is much more open. The Kruger is sort of more bushy. There are areas of open areas as well. But it basically means that I can go and self-drive, so I can take myself wherever I want to. The atmosphere is extraordinary, driving on your own, obviously with my wife, who comes with me. We're just driving on our own, and then a liner will pop out, or we go searching for an elephant, or wherever it may be. So, you see the big five, you see all the predators, you see a myriad of birds. There's so many different creatures. There's 500 odd birds alone in the Kruger. It's a great migratory place as well, so you see a lot of migrating birds. It's just, if you like wildlife as much as I do, the day is completely full from the minute you get up to the minute you go to bed, of just wildlife and photography and just watching as well. Sometimes you just put the camera down and watch what's in front of you. And as I said, you see so many creatures, so many creatures.
Yeah. So when did you first visit? When did you first go there?
Good question. I think it was 2017, I think. I've been back 5 times now. We're going back in November. Something out of necessity is now something that I would rather do, because I just really enjoy the freedom of driving ourselves. And I mean, the first time we went in through the gates, the main gates, there's lots of camps within the main area, if you like. And the first time we went through the main gates, our next camp to get to for accommodation was about 45 minutes away. As soon as we went through the gates, we saw creatures we'd never seen before, even though they might be lowly impala. To now, we've seen them so many times. That was brand new to us. Warthogs and kudu, and even obviously giraffes and things like that. We saw those straight away. Our trip that should have taken 45 minutes took 4 hours, because we just stopped at every point possible. So and it just feels like a great place to be as well, as I said, especially because you're on your own. You're finding subjects for yourself, which is a real nice sort of feel to that.
Nice. And what would you say your favorite animal then is to photograph?
Elephant, straight away. Elephant. Yeah. I mean, obviously everything. I go with an open mind when I'm there. I make sure that I take everything in. I'm not a guy that goes for the predators or for the big five. I go for literally everything, and that means my day is absolutely chock full of photography. To the extent where you've fed up in a while, and you come home with an awful lot of shots, lots and lots of images, but so much as well. So many options. As I said, from the reptiles to your macro, if you want to do macro, there's just so much there. But elephant is my main creature. When you come face to face with an elephant, you see real wisdom, and you realise we're not as clever as we think we are.
Nice. So Biggie Z's following you around everywhere. So he's already been there. He's done it. So but he has also made a comment which links perfectly to our next slide. So is Rob going to make a photo book of his travels? Let's move to the next slide. Let me bring the slides back on. And what's the answer, Rob?
Well, it's yes and no, actually, because it's not just a photo book. There's lots and lots of photos in there. It's more about how I go about traveling and booking and planning and being in the Kruger. It's not so much which road to travel on or which camp. There's lots of better people than me. that have been there far more than me that know about that. It's not about what animals to see or anything like that. It's just how I go about it. And I hope by writing this book, people will understand it's actually a lot easier than they think it's going to be. And if they never thought they could go on safari, this might give them a good fighting chance because it's probably the most economic way of safaring. So I'm hoping I'm going to give people a chance or an idea of a chance to go on safari when maybe they didn't think they could.
Nice.
I'm one of those people, Rob. So you've already inspired me.
Yeah,
So.
there we are.
Yeah.
I'll sign a book for you. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
So when will the book be complete? Can we get a date out of you?
Yeah, it is complete, but it's got to go to printing. So my plan at the moment is to get it out for September, because it's just got to go through a few bit of design tweaks. And then it'll be available on my website, Robb Cottle Images, and you'll be able to buy it from there. And hopefully lots of people too.
And it's been a project of yours for a while, right? It's been a long time coming. So
a long time.
So,
I started the idea. Basically, I started the idea off because people would email me, chat to me at these events we do, or camera club talks that I may be doing, and what started off as a few sort of questions and a few answers started into a little blog, and then it went into like a little pamphlet, and then it ended up in this mighty tome, 250 pages and 60,000 words later. And I've added a little diaries in there as well to just give people an idea of the feeling of being there as well. But there's a bit of my humor there. Hopefully you'll see his humor anyway. So there's a bit of everything in there.
Nice. Bit of a question for you.
Yeah. Yes, I've been lucky enough to see marabou storks on most of my trips. Usually they're called the undertakers, the marabou storks, because they're normally there first before the vultures, and they actually just stand like ushers next to a carcass. So they're often there, and in the end of the day as well, they'll often be roosting on tops of trees as well. So look out for that.
Nice. And I'm just going to throw a question to Craig. Not that I don't think you can handle it, just so that he's got a bit of screen time. Craig, lens recommendation for dragonflies.
It's a good one. I can recommend probably several depending on what you're wanting to take pictures of, really. So obviously if you're looking for those real close up with the compound eyes and everything, then it's nothing better than 90mm. So obviously then with a focus bracketing to really get that detail. But as Rob's already mentioned earlier in the chat, so 150 to 400 does it, the 40 to 150 does it, the 2.8, the 50 to 200. So it depends what kind of an image of a dragonfly you're looking for, really. So I hate to sound like a politician and come back with a question to your question, but basically the best thing to do is try out a few. So obviously, as we mentioned earlier, we've got lots of events coming up. So the best thing to do is to get hands-on with the equipment, really. So in-flights just popped up as a second question. Yeah. So you probably would then be looking at 50 to 200. So just so you have that ability to pan with it and get the in-flight shot. So
that's the one. That's what we did for mostly for Bug Park as well when the dragonfly ponds. So so just remind us, Rob, when is the book going to be on the website? Or can we pre-order it already? What's
you can message me or DM me or email me, whatever you want to do. It should be on my website in September. That's the plan. As I said, I'm going to the Kruger in November. Probably go to the Kruger, come back and say I want to re-edit it again and add some more things. I'm definitely doing it before I go, otherwise I'll never have a life. Because I just re-edited it so much.
You want to get to the second book and get rid of the first book?
Yeah. Cool. I'll probably get fed up with it by then.
So I know we're very much running out of time very, very quickly, and we've got a few bits left to do. So we're going to rush through the debate a little bit, and we're going to try and be as quick as possible. All right, guys? So one word answers for everything. We'll be fine. So the debate and of topic today, does great photography come from the person or the camera? And we are going to start off with Rob. It's a very tricky question. It's a very philosophical question. But I also don't think there's a right or wrong reason to answer to this. I think there's a reasonable bit of both. But I'll go through my thoughts in a minute. So let's go to Rob first, if the slides want to work. So talk us through it. What do you think then, Rob?
Yeah, so obviously this is in a Kruger, not in Stoma. So the shot on the left was a fairly conventional portrait, just obviously of an elephant drinking. And probably about a minute later, I thought, do you know what? I'm probably not going to use that. I've got to think of something else. It's middle of the day. So I just turned on the ND filter and I managed to get you hand holding the 150-400. I managed to get that. I think it was about zero point 0.5 seconds, something like that, fifth of a second. And that's how you get that sort of movement in the trunk and the ears. And for that to work, you have to have something sharp, which happens to be the leg, and that sort of works because it's actually gives it a foundation to work.
Okay. And you also smeared another image for your argument, and that's this one.
Yeah, this is about it is the photographer, but it also in this instance is the camera as well, because obviously the gear is so good at capturing these birds in flight. But this actually took me an hour and a half to get. These birds were darting everywhere, under bridges, into vegetation, and this took me an hour and a half. I had 3 clean shots of different birds, and I just found that this one being shot was actually extraordinary because they were traveling at the speed of light. So yeah, so I think this blurs the lines to some extent because the photographer has to have the patience to stand there and to think about how to do it, but also you need the gear to actually take the shot as well.
Okay. Yeah. All right, let's move on to Craig then. So, photographer or camera or both?
Quick answers, probably both. However, you can take a great image on any equipment. So similar to as Rob said, like you can take a capture of an image with, I wouldn't say with everything is going to be as good, but you can capture. So ultimately, a photo to me is a memory, or it's something. You're basically taking a record of something, whatever it is, you're taking a record. So ultimately, the gear isn't always the most important thing. So on the right, my image here, the message is the important thing. The image is secondary, and the kit is the last thing. So, for me, I took it in my style of black and white using the OM3. So the gear did help me get this image, but you could get a very similar image on your mobile phone. Whereas similar theme to Rob. So my photo on the left, as you'll notice, I mentioned earlier, I like hearts in images. So I think in both images, there's a heart. So that's the thing. But again, the static is the groin in the water. So I was stood on the groin in front. This was a 1 second live ND as well. So ND 64 on the OM3. So again, it's kind of without the human having the idea to take an image at any point, you need a human, and you need the human to see the image. So I think similar to Rob, so he saw the potential for an image, but the gear helped him get the image. So I think ultimately the human is the most important part of it, but the gear does help you get somewhere where others can't get, probably. So
yeah. Okay, I think we've all thought of the same sort of thing then. So in terms of my images, to give you a little bit of background, the giraffe was basically looking, so we're going back to the Longley event, and the giraffe was looking through the back of the window. So I was sat in the back, and this giraffe just looks straight over the top and back around through the window. Now, I was using a 150-400 on a OM1 Mark II. That kit, no way in helped me get this shot. I could have had any camera in the back of that van, and I would have got that shot because I saw the shot coming. I saw the opportunity for it and took the shot, and done, dusted. And I think it's a really cool image. The image on the other side of the ant on the petal, that there's no way I would have been able to do without the right camera kit to do it. So to give you an idea, that's an OM1 Mark II with a 90mm 2x teleconverter, a flash and a flash diffuser, and that's 15 images stacked. Now, no normal camera or is going to allow me to do that. Only OM kit, surprisingly, is going to allow me to do that, which is great. Great little plug right there. So for me, yeah, I think exactly the same on the basis that the person comes first because they have to think for the idea of the photograph. Or they have to respond to the opportunity of the photograph coming. But then we can rely on the kit these days. Maybe not kind of like when we talk about kind of kit from, film days, we couldn't rely on the kit, and it was more the person than the camera. But these days, I think it's a very healthy balance between the person thinking about the shot and thinking creatively, as well as the kit being able to help you create the shot you imagine.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I can take really bad photos on any kit as well. So it's there is so many that I miss, and I think that's the thing we sometimes forget as well is we don't share those images. So it's like, so when we're on SCOMA, the amount of blurs in flight I got versus birds in flight, it is, so the kit takes you to a certain level, but it still needs, so I mean, it just needs that human interaction to kind of get to that next level. So I mean, when I joined OM 5 years ago, if I look at my photos now, they're unrecognizable to what I take now. So I think it takes time, as Rob's mentioned previously. So
yeah, and also I think going back to Craig, sorry, just go back to Craig there with, it's the same for me. I take some nice shots, but I'm taking lots. You're not seeing those other ones. I might take a few more maybe than some people, but it's still a lot. I come back with maybe a couple of thousand shots from SCOMA. There's only probably 5 I'll use that I really like. There's probably some some other ones there as well, but ones I really like, probably 4 or 5. So often we don't see the mistakes.
Yeah. And Craig, from my point of view, I've been with OM since kind of February, and I've seen my photography increase kind of tenfold in terms of skill. One, that's because I now get to hang around with a lot of ambassadors and they're always telling me how to do stuff. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's also the part that I now have one of every single lens to play with, right? So I can now get out and shoot. So I think, again, that I don't know, was that the same for you when you first started with OM, that you find, like you've just said, that it's changed your photography working for OM, hasn't it? So
definitely, yeah. The gear's helped as well. So I mean, so when I joined, I still had an EM10 Mark II, and I was happy with the images. And in fairness, like, some of my favorite images are still on there because they're great memories. But yeah, the gear has helped tremendously. Like, obviously, working with Rob has helped. So a lot of my photography now, I do get low. I am lying on the floor. I look like an idiot most of the times, but it does change your photography. And I think that's what I mean. You don't even have to come and do events firsthand. I think it's the best way to learn. But even watching our YouTube videos will help, so you can learn a lot. So yeah, I think it's been exposure to other photographers, the gear. So actually having different lenses to use that I wouldn't necessarily have had before. It's funny how you do end up using like I've got a small selection of lenses I use a lot now when I'm traveling myself, which so yeah, it's like SCOMA was a rarity where I used the 150 to 400 again. I forgot how much I loved it. But for my day-to-day stuff, I'm generally got a 20mm and the 40 to 150 f4, and it does most things I need to do. But it was finding those lenses. It's it's just finding the right gear for you, really. So, but yeah, the gear is important.
Yeah, and we somewhat have to say that because we also work for OM, but we're not trying to be biased in any shape or form.
No, but it's interesting that both myself and Rob did use Live ND as an example, and that is something, without having to use filters, I would never have purchased filters for my photography because I wouldn't class myself as a landscape photographer. But I found them really, like Live ND, I can use it in any type of photography. So it's like having that accessibility is great, and all the computational features are the same. So, and the stabilization. So it's just all those factors together do make it, a really creative kit. So
yeah. So hopefully that has answered the debate once and for all of mankind now, that we know that it's a bit of both these days. Maybe not back in the past, but now it's a 50-50 sort of scenario. So hopefully everyone agrees. If not, let us know in the comments as well. It'll be interesting to know. Let's have a look at a few comments. There's a question here about will it work? There we go. Camera World, we are not there at Camera World. Craig, any particular reason we're not there?
So we're no longer a partner with Camera World, so we won't be at that event. But I would say watch this space for potential motorsport in the future. So more details will come in the new year. So yeah, we're open to doing motorsport still. So yeah, the 50 to 200 is perfect for it. So
yeah, I guess that's one of the things we should mention as well, is the fact that we talk a lot about wildlife and nature and landscape and macro, but our kit can do everything. And this is one reason why we brought in a skateboarding workshop, right? To kind of throw that into a different mix. We've got Gavin Hoey that does portraiture, and Christian Ager that does portraiture, and I've got Jimmy Chain that does street. So don't feel like your camera is limited to just doing the nature and the wildlife stuff. Branch out a little bit, and you'll find that your camera is capable of doing a lot of different things. And there's a reason why we brought out the OM3, and it's for that reason. You can do everything. All right, so we do have a small announcement to make, is that we're all going to be in the same room once again for this year, and maybe for the final part of this year, and that is at the Welsh Camera and Optics Show. Now, this is based in Carmarthen, I'm going to gather.
Yep.
I can't remember. I've booked my hotel for it already, so I'm guessing it's there.
Yeah, it's at the university, I think, isn't it, in the buildings there? So
yeah. And I can't remember the dates. I want to say the 20th to the 22nd. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think it's the Friday and Saturday that weekend, whatever it is. I think it's the 21st and 22nd. So yeah.
Yeah. All I remember it's on the day before my birthday. So hey, so we all celebrate on. Just the saying, guys. Just be wary of that.
Yeah. Little reminder there. I keep forgetting. I will put it in the calendar. So.
Thank you, mate. So what can we expect at the show? So Rob, you're going to be there, right?
Yes, I am. Yes, I've been there for the last few occasions. It's a bit like sort of the Carmarthen's mini TPS. Lots of people. There's a lot of talks this year, a lot more than last year, I think. So there's a lot for everybody to come along to. I think it's free, isn't it, Craig? I think it's free if you book up in advance.
Yeah, I think it's free for the event. I think the talks might be chargeable. I think we've also got Stuart Woods doing a macro session, which again I think is chargeable, but all the details are on the website. So if you just Google Welsh Camera and Optics Show, it will all come up. So
yes, yeah.
If anybody ever wants to just ask me questions, please do. That's why I'm one of the reasons I'm there. So if anybody wants to come along and ask me anything, basically, as long as it's about wildlife and nature, that is, and not motorsport
or music.
Oh, well,
yeah.
See what you did there.
Sorry. All right, so yes, make sure you go come along if you can. It'd be great. I'm sure we've also got some offers on the days as well, so I leave that to Craig to sort out. So
there'll be gear to walk away with on the day as well. So
there we go. Everyone can take a 90mm home and a 150-400 and a 50-200, and we'll all be happy, and everyone will get great shots. So all good. Talking about offers, just to let everyone know, there's a huge cashback on. So summer savings cashback up to £600 cashback on particular lenses at the moment. So the 150-600 in particular has £600 cashback on it. And then if you are after a 150-400 or a 50-200, they are also then doing a free MC20, so the 2x teleconverter. I can't remember when that is on to. Craig, is it up until the end of the month?
I think the teleconverter one is until the end of the month. The cashback, I want to say it's probably for another week or two, probably 2 weeks at maximum. So yeah. That's all the details are on our website. So.
Yeah, they are. Yes, yeah. So, yeah, if you are interested in purchasing before Carmarthen, or you can't get to Carmarthen, then go onto our website. I've already posted the link right in the top of the chat, along with Rob's website as well. So make sure you just copy and paste that into your web browser, and you'll be able to go see all the promotions we've got going on. And yes, we are almost there. One more slide, guys. We're almost there. I just need to remind you guys, please get involved with OM Talks. The more you guys get involved, the more you create this show. It's not just about us sat here talking to you for an hour and 44 minutes. It's also about you guys getting involved, submitting your images and leaving us comments and that sort of thing. So we can build the show all together, which is lovely. You know what? We should have brought Biggie Z into the show, I think, because he's got the comments going. He's really involved, so I love it.
He can replace me next time.
maybe. So he needs an MC20. Then trade in that 40 to 150 f2.8 by 50 200.
Yeah, spot on.
Yep. So nice and easy. And I do a lot of portraits and events when not out in the wild. So the 1240 f2.8 is always on my camera. I like that a lot as well. So, but yeah, all good. Any questions from you guys? Any feedback? Anything you want to say to the audience whilst we're here?
No, I think I've exhausted my voice now.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like I've been back at Bird Fair.
Yeah.
About to fall over.
Yeah.
Oh, bird fair. Oh no. All right. From me then, Rob, thank you very much for coming on the show. Thank you for being a part of it and kind of let us explore your world and your mind for a little bit with some questions. And thank you for submitting all the lovely images as well. Always a pleasure to see those. Everyone make sure to get his book when it does finally release on his website. And thank you very much, Rob. Craig, thank you again for attending. It's always lovely to catch up with you on here. And I know I'm going to see you in a few weeks' time. So
yeah, exactly.
We'll have another chat at some point. And then a big thank you to, obviously Biggie Z for filling up the comments for us today. And for everyone else attending and saying hello and being a part of this. And a big thank you to everyone. So,
thanks all.
Thanks, guys. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.